Hi everyone, how are you doing? Happy Monday. Welcome to Facts and Two Cents. This is Petal. As you know, we are a channel that's supposed to Duke and Duchess of Sussex, Harry, Meghan, Archie, Baby Lily, Mama Doria, Poola Guy, the chickens. All of us here at Sussex Squad, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is Memorial Day, and it's funny because I was thinking about it and I'm like, how do you say this? I mean, I don't think Happy Memorial Day is correct. I mean, it's not something, I don't want to put happy in front of it. But it's all of a sudden I was thinking about it. I'm like, how do you greet people on Memorial? Do we say happy Memorial? I mean, I don't, because again, we know what we're remembering, people who served and, many who have passed on and, given, the ultimate sacrifice. And so it's like, do I put happy in the front of that? It just seems so weird to me. I was thinking about it. And all of a sudden I don't remember how we do it. So it's just like, well, hello on Memorial Day. I don't know. But hello, my friends in the chat. How are you all doing? Hope you guys are having, a quiet day, a restful day. I was just going to say hello to all my friends who are in the chat. Hello, hello. Our awesome moderator, Lydia, is here. Hello, Lydia. How are you? And Connie Balmer is here, hanging out with us from Switzerland. Connie, I hope you know you're living my dream. One of my big dreams is to come to Switzerland. The mountains are so beautiful. And I look at all the pictures and I'm like, oh, Connie Balmer, you're living my dream, my love. You are living my dream. So, anyways, one day, Lord willing, I shall descend on your country and see the beauty that is Switzerland. Let's see who else is here. Black Queen is here. Hello, Black Queen. Let's see. Sonia is here. Hello, Sonia Dandridge. Annie is here. Awesome moderator Karen M is here. Hello, Karen. And Nalu Thando is here, hanging out with us from South Africa. How is it going over there in South Africa, Nalu Thando? Please share. Let's see who else is here. I see myself in the chat. MJB is here. Hello. How are you? Sonia is here. Oh, wait. I said Sonia Dandridge already. Hello. Sonia, well, hello to you again. GD is here and Anne is here and Lorna is here. Hello, Lorna. Who else is in the chat? Oh, I see Marcia. Marcia Dalvis is here. And Janice Goodrich is here. Let's see who else. I'm scrolling down. Maureen is here. And oh, I love this. Nakuthula. Hello, Nakuthula. How are you? It's like, hello, everyone. Everyone, say hello to Nakuthula. Nakuthula, sorry. Dolores is here. Hello, Dolores, and Mad World and Ghislaine. So all of our friends are hanging out with us, and we'll say hello to others as we go along. Hello, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What is happening in your world? I hope that, today at least it's restful. Hopefully you're just relaxing, enjoying the day, saying thank you if there are any vets among us today, or even if you're not and you're just listening, part of the 133 that's listening right now. We just want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, as we remember all of you and all the sacrifices that you've made, and also to all of the families, the military families, and family members who paid the ultimate sacrifice for the freedoms that we have right now, even though some of it is being eroded. But you did your part to make sure that we got that, and we want to say thank you and remember your sacrifice and remember what you did for us. So thank you all so very much. What else is happening? Kaboom! The fundraiser is happening right now. We are at $87,663. So yes, I do believe by the 4th we will get to $100,000 for Kaboom as they build play spaces to help kids around the country really be able to, in spite of all the message and drama and fear and all the stuff that's happening around the world, that kids have a place that they can go to just be kids. And that is so, so, so very important. As a person, I used to work in a play space was where I used to teach art to little babies, 1.5 to 2.5 year olds, and it was a part of a play space. And we basically worked with kids from 1 to 6, or I'm sorry, from 0 to 6. So a lot of our kids just came out of the womb and were at our play space, and so and then I taught art to 1.5 to 2.5 year olds to them, and so I know the value of having kids making sure that they have these spaces, because a lot of times that's their first time, learning about sensory, learning about, basically feeling themselves and learning, and seeing how their little legs and arms work. And, especially we had a water table, so they got to understand and put their hands and feel the water and the texture. I mean, it's so important. These play spaces are so vital to the growth of kids. And so it's so funny when the place closed. One of the little girls that was there, she couldn't believe that it was closing, and her mom had to literally bring her there to see it being broken down. It was very sad for all of us, because a lot of the kids at that space, we knew them before they were born, when mom was pregnant, and then they basically grew up in that space until they went off, and so a lot of these kids running around Manhattan now, I wouldn't recognize them because I knew them as babies. And so I firsthand knowledge of how important these spaces, and most of these are outdoor spaces. Mine was an indoor space, but it's so valuable to kids to learn this stuff now, and to just to get out and be creative in spite of what the world is happening in the world. They can get to be kids for a bit. So and again, 100% of the donations are going to Kaboom. And so, yeah, so kudos to the squatties for raising funds in spite of all the drama that's been going on. We've been raising funds, and we're almost at $100,000. So it's absolutely awesome. So anyway, let's see. What is going on in the world of royals? Our faves, they're been quiet under a tree somewhere. This is my New York Montecito tree that I've given to our faves. So I'm like, if y'all don't find a tree in your yard, here's a tree. It's coming to you live from New York. So this is what I imagine. I imagine them under that tree. Maybe the tree that they took that picture, when Meghan was pregnant, could be that tree. So we are imagining them under their tree. Just relaxing, especially, again, today is a holiday. So whatever they've been doing, we haven't seen them since New York. So, I just wish them just peace and love and, all the good things that we can wish them. That's what I wish them. So they have been very, very quiet, and frankly, with all the little tea and the mess that's going on in Shutter Island, I'm like, just stay quiet. Just don't do anything until we see Harry in the UK, whether he is I'm assuming he is going to be going to the UK for the trial next month. Again, we don't have a specific date on when he will be there, whether he is going or whether because of, security issues now that, that's, who knows where that's going to be by the time he has to testify, or whether he has to do it by video link. However they do it, I hope we don't see them, and nobody has access to them until that, that time, and they can work in peace and quiet and, as continue to shut the British press out, especially the British press out, so they have nothing. So what happens when they have nothing to, no Sussex news to hide behind is they start turning on each other, as we've seen in the last week. So, and start eating the royal family as well. So let's just hope the Sussexes are just staying wherever they are, doing whatever they're doing, and let those on Shutter Island and those ones in the US, those lazy ones in the US, let them just feed on each other. As far as I'm concerned, just a bunch of snakes eating snakes. So I just, carry on, I say, carry on, Let's see, what else is happening in the world while our faves, Lord willing, stay under their tree and, do whatever it is they're doing there. Spare, it's so funny with Spare. It's like we've been with Spare since before Spare was Spare. And since before it was released and all of that stuff. And we know it's been released since January 10th. But some people are literally still discovering Spare. amazingly enough. And then others have just finished reading Spare. And it's really wonderful to come across these and see that what people are getting out of Spare. It's really, really, I mean, it's just so heartwarming. And I cannot imagine Harry, whether he sees this or not. Again, I don't, publicly, they do not have social media. I don't know if they have something private. I don't know. Maybe their people have, they're, at least they're monitoring social media, whatever. I mean, I would think their security would have. But I hope he sees all of this and see how people, when they read the book, it's like changed, or their opinions or their, whatever narrative they had changes, because they finally get to understand who this man is, from him and not from the tabloid. And so this person, Naif, right, it says, stepping into the pages of Spare, Prince Harry's memoir is a powerful and moving read. It is a captivating read that unveils layers of vulnerability, resilience, and the pursuit of the authentic purpose. I mean, I thought that was such a cool review, and I was like, oh, that is awesome. I love that. And Dawn in a Fire, they're on Twitter, says, just finished reading Prince Harry's wonderful audiobook. Thank you to everyone who recommended it when I inquired about it via Twitter. I also recommend everyone listen to it, especially since he discusses what dishonest media does to people in order to profit. And again, I absolutely love this. And I'll just keep, every time there are a bunch more, but, it's like space. I want to just keep pulling in a bunch. So I think, every time I run across it, I'll pull in different reviews of people who are just discovering it, or people who are just starting to, read it, or just finished reading it, and you see this consistent pattern. When people read it, they find it's like, oh, there was even a review the other day, and, where this person, I don't know if they were one of those troll, hater, deranger people on Twitter, but she definitely was not into Harry, and I guess hated him. And then, against, for her better judgment, whatever, for her, I guess, she read the Spare and then wrote a review about how it just changed her mindset and her mind, but she finally understands who he is, and wrote this sparkling review about Spare. And so again, when people, get away from the toxicity of the press and really get to either know Harry and Meghan, and, the people who have met them and know them say their take on them are very, very different from the majority of those that don't, and who have not met them. And so it's really good. I mean, and again, Spare keeps going. That little book, that good. So anyways, it's just, for me, wonderful to see. And moving on to, I think we're going to jump to Shutter Island for a bit. But before we go there, if you are new here, or if you've been hanging with us for a while and you just have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. It's right under the video, and click that little bell, the notification bell. That is what's going to alert you anytime we drop a video. So definitely go ahead and do that. And we are almost at 7,000. We are slowly growing, and I'm good. I'm just like, okay, great. It's slow, but it's steady. And it's just like, that's awesome, as long as we keep growing. So help us grow some more. You can definitely like the video. Please share it with your friends, your social media crew. And if you're able, please join the channel. Thank you to all of you who have joined the channel and support the channel monthly financially. So I appreciate it so very much. You help me pay for platforms, internet, and all of that stuff to be able to do this stuff. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate everything that you've done for the channel. So moving on, what else do we have? So, I've been talking a lot about how the media frames things, and how when you read a headline, how different it is from if you read the article. And, the last couple of episodes, I think I touched on, I don't think I did the last one, but the episodes before, touched on just how reporters and editors in, whether it's the US outlets, but so much more in the UK, how they know that you will not read past the headline. So a lot of times they just use the headline to get your attention, because they know you'll just run with it. You won't bother because you will simply assume that what is in the headline is exactly what is in there. So it's like, oh, well, that's the headline. Okay, that's what the article is about. And very often, which more times than not, the article is very misleading. It misleads a lot of time. It doesn't, they will hide the facts within all the lies and misinformation in an article so that they can say, well, yes, I put it in there, but they know very well that people wouldn't read that far to see the facts. They will put all the misinformation and stuff at the front or scatter it all about. So by the time you get to the facts of what, the thing, whatever it is, one, you may not even recognize it. By the time you get there, you might not even believe it, or you might just read right over it and not even pay attention to it. They know that. They're expert at misinformation. And something as simple as this is one of, again, these are these tabloids or tabloidy magazine things that, they basically are there for, propping up the royal family, the royal family PR. And so this article is no less. It's like, King Charles's incredible tribute to Tina Turner will bring tears to your eyes. And so, I mean, if you read that, you're like, oh, King Charles. I mean, if you're a royalist, whatever, for us who are not royals, like, whatever, it's like, but I could appreciate if I was a royalist and I saw that, it will mean something to me. And if it, especially if I'm a Tina Turner fan, then of course it'll mean something to me. You know what I mean? King Charles, his tribute to Tina Turner, as we know, she just passed away this past week. And then you read the article. Tina Turner's death on the 24th of May has affected millions of people around the world, true. And it appears, heavy lifting here, the word appears. And it appears to include King Charles also. Following her passage at the age of 83, King Charles seemingly approved a fitting tribute to the Queen of Rock and Roll. On Friday, in the forecourt of one of London's residences, Buckingham Palace, one of Tina Turner's biggest hits, "The Best," was played in her honor. And again, how they mislead, and that's why I highlight those two words, appears and seemingly, which means they're the two that are doing very heavy. It's like appears. They don't have no idea if this was a tribute to Tina Turner from King Charles. They have no idea who came up with, oh, well, let's play, or the band would probably think, well, Tina Turner is a big deal. She's an icon. She's an internationally famous, amazing artist, whatever you think of Tina Turner. They have no idea why the band is playing. They have no idea if King Charles had anything to do with any of this. But they came up with this headline, King Charles's incredible tribute to Tina Turner will bring tears to your eyes. And then you read the article and you see the big words, appears and Charles seemingly approved. And so it's just like, look, if he did it, great. You know what I mean? Fine. Whatever. Everybody is allowed to love Tina Turner in whatever way. And if he did, great. But the fact is, Hello Magazine has no idea why they're playing their song. They have no idea why they decided to play it, other than the fact that Tina Turner died and they a tribute to her. They have no idea if King Charles has anything whatsoever to do with this at all. But when you look at the article again, you look at the headline again, it's statement of fact. And then you read the article and you realize nothing that is said in this article is a fact. It's all I think, maybe, it's seemingly, and it appears so. And this is something, again, you see throughout the British press. You see throughout the articles. You read from whether it's a legitimate, and I know I'm talking to the choir, but, I'm also speaking to, if you're new here and you are not, familiar with how the British press, especially, and some in the US press, especially, say the New York Post, which is also Rupert Murdoch owned, or TMZ, or one of those tabloids in the US, and you will see this narrative all through it, the maybe seemingly appears, but meanwhile their headline is a literal statement of fact. So if you, which they're expecting you to not read the rest of the article, they expect you to just run with the headline, so they lie in the headline. And then you get the, if you sit there and try to read their article, then you realize, wait a minute, this is a con job. This is completely fraudulent. This is completely a lie. So just in case you're new here, I keep saying this so that way we're all on the same page when we understand, when we read stuff in the British press, especially, a lot of the stuff is guess. I guess, so therefore I'm writing it. So anyway, I don't want to belabor the point, but that's just, again, what another example I came across. What else is happening? So we talked the last episode a lot about this. Phillips. Oh, and thank you for the squatty that sent me a comment and letting me know that it's not Schofield, Philip Schofield, which is how I was saying his name, but Schofield. So I apologize. I didn't know. I apologize. So it's Schofield, Philip Schofield, and not Schofield, as I was saying. So there you go. So thank you. And I should have written down who it was that corrected me. I appreciate that so much, that you want me to say things correctly. And I appreciate that you pointing that out to me. Thank you. So we talked a lot about this in the last episode, where we were just taking comments and stuff. And I mentioned this video. This kid, the guy in the front, I guess he was celebrating something on his YouTube channel or something. And this was, I think, 2014 when he was doing that. So he was celebrating like a 1,000 followers or 1 million followers, something like that. So he opened this thing and all these confetti flew. And so when it popped open, this man looked around, and the man was Philip Schofield. And here he is, basically, and this was in a restaurant, and here he is on a date with the little kid in that circle there. This is the little kid that he, that he has confessed to having the affair with, where, some say that they met at, I thought it was 13, 14, but apparently it was more like 10, 11. That's when he first met this little kid, Matt. His name is Matthew McGreevy, I think his name is. And now we're learning that Matthew is part of a theater company. And the theater company is run by one of Schofield's friend, who has the same name. So it's same last name. So I don't know if they're, if they're related, whatever. I know Schofield has one brother. So whether the guy running the theater company that Matthew is a part of, is a relative, they have the same last name, so I'm assuming they're relatives. And that's the theater company that this kid was in, how he met Schofield, and Schofield basically groomed him, got him a job on at ITV on his show as a runner for This Morning. And then we know what happened after that. He proceeded to have, he said, it was not illegal. So he is claiming that it, the quote unquote relationship part of it didn't happen. It was not illegal. So I'm assuming he's claiming that it's since the kid was 16. It's still disgusting because he groomed this kid and then, got him a job and then have a quote unquote relationship with the kid when the kid is still a minor. And yes, I know the age limit, the age of a, consent in the UK is like 16, but still, that is a child. And you have the power, you have all the power in this situation, including the fact that you have a relatively senior position and one of the stars on that, of ITV. So the kid is coming in at a great disadvantage. And many of those people, I would say just about everybody who worked at ITV knew about this. And they've all covered it up, even though now they're trying to be like, I didn't know, including his co-host Holly. It's like, I didn't know, I was lied to. Everybody's pulling out that I was lied to. This would be where Philip Schofield could come out and say, no, you knew. Maybe you won't, but anyways. So this is the video. This is a snapshot from that video that was mentioned. And then Dan, we talked about Dan we talked about Dan Wooten in his ever-changing story. And of course, Twitter, receipts on Twitter never die. So just about everybody and their mother is sending this right back at him, calling out his lies and calling out just his, basically shifting what he said from one thing to another, and basically just inserting himself into things to get attention in a lot of ways, on top of the fact that he was part of covering this whole mess up, even though he says otherwise. When in 2020, when Schofield decided to quote unquote come out, which was basically using the gay community to cover this whole mess up, because all of them knew he was gay, they all knew. And so they did this whole big coming out, Philip Schofield coming out stuff, which in 2020 was when I first learned about this kid. Because when this stuff is happening, just before he so quote unquote came out, they had this video online. So everybody knew about this. It was going viral online on Twitter. That's how I first found out about this kid, And so Dan Wooten in that time, instead of ITV and all who know expose this mess, what ends up happening, according to Byline Investigates, is that the Sun, which is where Dan Wooten was working at the time, they decided to, instead, because they apparently were threatening Dan Wooten, who is also a gay man, was threatening to out Schofield. And instead of instead of them doing what is right and outing this whole big mess with this kid, they kind of made a deal with the Sun where he would give the Sun exclusives. And apparently ITV, which is what I'm understanding now, that ITV was in on the whole thing where they have been giving the Sun a lot of different exclusives from ITV, all in all to cover up this mess, and which is allegedly to cover up all of this mess. So they've been doing, giving them exclusives from ITV. So this is Dan Wooten in 2020 when Philip Schofield so-called came out of the closet. Dan Wooten tweeted, living in the closet creates many deep psychological issues for any gay man, including feeling overwhelmed by intense anger and shame. Coming out is one of the hardest conversations a person will ever have, let alone when it's on national TV. I salute Philip. And then he wrote, Dan Wooten got the exclusive and wrote about it. Philip, the bravest decision of his life by coming out after 57 years. And Philip Schofield at the bottom, you can see, responded to Dan. Thank you so much, Dan. And I've read the book already. Whichever book, I don't know what he's talking about, but he's thanking Dan. That was them in 2020. So that was where, Dan was all apparently publicly totally fine, and he was congratulating him. It's like, that you're doing a great thing, pat on the back, very brave of Philip Schofield to come out of the closet. Skip forward to 2021, 1 year later, just over a year later, in March of 2021, after the Oprah Winfrey interview, the stuff happened, and then Pierce walked off ITV and quit, and all that whole mess. Dan Wooten tweeted, like Pierce, I quit ITV after bosses pressured me to stop criticizing Harry and Meghan. The Sussexes are typical of the elite, using the royal blood and her fame to scare critics into silence. But we must fight for free speech and reject cancel culture. Yep, that was Dan Wooten jumping into the Piers Morgan walked off ITV mess, and claiming that the reason why he quit was because the boss were pressuring him to stop criticizing the Sussexes. 2021, that was Dan Wooten. Jump forward to a couple days ago. This is what Dan Wooten tweeted after all this mess came out, with the kid. This is what Dan Wooten tweeted. For those asking why I didn't report this at the time, I did. This is what I wrote in December 2019 when executive editor of The Sun. It was all I could do legally because of the constraints, freedom, and press in the UK. I also quit my role at ITV. So here is Dan Wooten claiming that he quit his role at ITV because he told them, he went to the executive, he went to the went to ITV, bosses, I guess, and exposed what Philip did, and claiming that's the reason why he quit. So everybody is coming down on Dan Wood. It's like, well, did you quit because you know went to ITV and brought this to their people and saying, Philip is doing a very bad thing with this kid? Is that the reason, or is it because of Harry and Meghan, where you claim that the bosses were pressuring you? So it's kind of like with Dan Wooten again, him and Piers Morgan, their whole thing is insert themselves into things to get attention. This is all about Dan Wooten getting attention for himself. Do I believe that Dan Wooten went, to the bosses and that? No, I don't believe any of that nonsense. They all knew. And Dan Wooten did know what was happening, but then instead of outing it when that deal was made for Philip to quote unquote come out of the closet, that should have been when you would have been like, no, I'm not doing that. Yes, I know I could get an exclusive from you, Philip, but no, this isn't about you coming out of the closet. This is about you grooming the kid. And this is about your inappropriate relationship, quote unquote, relationship with this kid. This is when he should have been like, But instead of doing that, he went along with using the gay community to be like, oh, no. He's brave, he's strong. I salute you, Philip, for coming out of the closet. Meanwhile, they kept this, inappropriate relationship with this kid a secret. And so it just is very, very, yeah. It's just really sick. And again, the lies. It's like, which is it, Dan? Did you quit because you were being pressured, to not criticize the Sussexes, or did you quit because you were outing Philip's inappropriate relationship with this kid to the bosses? Which is it, Dan? Make up your mind. Because every year you seem to be saying something different, and your convictions about this stuff, it seemed to be very different. And so it just is, of course, we get Eamon Holmes claiming, oh, Ruth and I deceived and lied to. One day I will tell the story. We had no issues with him being gay, only support. That transpired. What transpired took us for fools. The man told us complete lies, and unfortunately, we believe him. Sure, Eamon, sure. And this is all of them there, when he quote unquote came out of the closet. This is all of them there. Ruth, Eamon, and also Holly, congratulating him, hugging him. They all knew. Every single one of them. And so a lot of people who have worked on GMB have been really coming back at their, just the hypocrisy and the lies that's been coming out of those who actually were full-time people there at ITV. It's like, look, I was only here for one guy was like, look, I met this guy like 10 minutes. I knew he was gay. And a little bit later, I figured out what his relationship was with the kid. And I was only there for a minute. So he couldn't believe any of their lies, about what happened. So it's really sick. So they're trying to hide it. The public is not letting them. So now, who knows what is going to end up happening to the show. ITV claimed that it's not in danger, I guess they want to say. But who knows? I guess if the public keeps going after them, they're going to have to make some decision whether this show goes on or not. And if Holly, when she comes back, I guess she's on taking a break or whatever. If it continues, if people can trust her anymore. I mean, I don't know how people can. They have all covered this up, and not one of them get a pass in claiming like, oh, I didn't know. Oh, he lied. No, you didn't want to know. Every single one of you, the way, and that by how they have all behaved with, Prince Andrew. How they're all so much more willing to attack Harry and Meghan and cover for Prince Andrew. You know that. They're all this whole thing is just reeks of the same attitude that they've all had with what happened with Prince Andrew. And so for them now, because now it's personal and it's very close to them, they're all trying to run away and hide, claiming that they've been lied to. And it's like, you don't get away with that. We don't believe you. So, and it's like, oh, Ruth and I were deceived. One day I will tell the story. No, today's the day, Amen. Today's the day you tell that story, not one day. Today's the day. So anyways, and you can't tell me, Eamon is on Twitter all the time. You cannot tell me he did not see that Matthew McGreevy story 2 years ago. I'm not in the UK, and I knew this story 2 years ago. So imagine them working on set with this person, these two people, all this time, and you're going to tell me you didn't know? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So anyways, moving on from that mess, we'll see what happens with that. The last couple of days, Lydia's like, he's lying. He'll never tell a story. No, he wouldn't. They're just waiting for it to blow over, which is what they do. They just wait. It's the same what you see with Prince Andrew. They just wait for people to not be thinking about it and then move on. So that's exactly how they work. Black Queen says, so before I move on, I shudder to think that Philip used to go on holiday with Holly and her 3 children. I mean, it's just, yep. It's just, yeah. Anyways, moving on. Moving on to Kate Middleton. So in the last couple of days, some very curious things have happened to Kate Middleton. And, whenever you always know when they have stories that, is negative towards the Cambridges or anyone, pretty much anyone in the royal family, say the senior royals, they always go out trying to find things about the Sussexes to cover those stories. And so whenever you see these things pop up that's negative, that nobody is like trying to take down, that they have nothing else. They don't have anything under Sussexes. They really tried last week. They were trying it. I mean, we saw what they did in New York. I mean, they were desperately trying to get photos to back up the nonsense of, the Sussexes relationships going to pot, and they were desperately all last week trying to find some evidence of something. And the Sussexes have been quiet. They have gotten nothing. So they have column inches to fill. They need to find, and that's the thing with them. It's like, there is no loyalty among thieves and crooks. And we know what the British press is. There's no loyalty there. Their supposed love for the royal family is so long as they can make money off of them. And if they're not making money off the Sussexes, they're going back to the royals. And the first one that's getting hang out to dry is Kate Middleton, because she is still considered, in all of this, a quote-unquote commoner. And so the first one that they usually go after is her, because we know Camilla and her very, very deep relationship with the rest of the British press. So they won't go after her. They get enough juice from Camilla. They will go after Kate. And so we saw these very curious articles pop up out of nowhere, and just like, about Kate Middleton. And, that's the thing with Kate, is like, when Meghan was there, she could count on them, not saying things about her. But, you would think she would have learned by all these years. It's like, maybe it's better to maybe team up with someone to go against the press than, to wait for them to, come after me, because if they don't get Meghan, they're coming after me. And this is the thing. So this popped up. A couple of days ago, early yesterday, I think it was. Kate's £154,500 a year charity boss is a convicted murderer who stabbed a man to death on the train. Princess of Wales had no idea of the CEO's past when they met last year. Again, they met last year. This story is from last year. Why are we hearing and if you look at the date, it's like we're in May. This happened and as we will read, it happened in May last year. Why are we hearing about this thing that happened from May last year? It says Paul Carberry, and we're gonna get, and that was their Daily Mail, which is we know the part of their royal rota. So that's the headline from one of their royal rotas. members. But we're going to get the story from LBC. LBC says Paul Carberry, 60, met the Princess of Wales, who is Action for Children's patron, at an event last year alongside Prince William. But the princess was unaware of Carberry as a convicted murderer, having stabbed John Murray, 21, 5 times in 1979. That's something I've regretted every day of my life. A family did not have their loved one because of me, he told the Mirror. The charity CEO, it's a little part of the article, the charity CEO met the Princess of Wales at an event in St. John's, Iverside last May, with their pair discussing about how to teach children to control their emotions. And I guess, when Paul Carberry was young, no one taught him that. So he is a part of teaching that. Paul told us he did disclose his conviction before he became a member of Scotland's serious organized crime force. So this story is really, honestly, not say about Paul Carberry. Paul Carberry was actually, when this happened in 1979, he was 16 years old. He was messed up. He did the crime. He has not tried to hide the crime. He has been honest with the charity about his past. They know his past. He's been honest about, Scotland Yard, and he's now worked with the organized crime force in Scotland. So he has not tried to hide his crime. Ever since he came out, he spent years in, junior prison, I guess, or, for teenagers, whatever, messed up teenagers. He spent years in prison, and then he spent years in adult prison, again, paying for that crime. And so when he came out, he's been working at non-for-profits ever since, where he works with, kids, and especially helping kids who who are, messed up as he was when he was 16, kids, I guess, who are on the brink and who are on the margin there, who can get into trouble. He's been able to help them, with getting trade and all of that stuff. So he has really spent his entire life since he came out of prison trying to be a better person and working in non-for-profit, helping kids and helping them to have what it seemed he didn't have when he was a child, where he got to the point where he literally killed a 21-year-old father-to-be. The man, John Murray, was 21, and he was, a father-to-be. And so this is really not say about his crime, Yes, he did. He's not hiding it. What he did was horrible. Yes. And he paid for it. And he spent the rest of his life trying to be a better person than the person that he should have been before, this whole mess happened. This story is there. This is about Kate Middleton, about the fact that here is the princess meeting this convicted murderer. This is there to set her up put her in a bad light, to put Kensington Palace in a bad light. Because, how could you meet with someone who has this past? How could you be the patron of a charity who has this past and not know? And then she's been a member of the, patron of this charity since 2016. And notice, who else is in that picture with her? Even though she's the patron of the charity, who else is in that picture with her in this red? Prince William. They did not even mention Prince William until way down in the article that, again, you look at that headline, it's like, Kate's 100-year charity boss. Her is who they're setting up, In other articles, they literally edited out William from the photo. And so it's only Kate. And it's just like, it's one of those things where they are setting her up to be, it's like, you didn't do your homework. You didn't do due diligence. Since 2016, you've been, the patron of this charity, and here we are in 2023, and you had no idea of the CEO's past that you met him last year. He's been the CEO of that charity for years. You met him last year, you're a picture with him, and after all of this time, you still didn't know that about his past. And so this was, when this article came out, it was meant to set her up and set her in a bad light, for not doing due diligence and not not knowing who you're meeting. And how dare you? How could you meet someone who has such a, has a dangerous past? And all of this thing is to put her in a bad light. Again, this man is, he did what he did. He's paid for his crime and he's, changed his life. But this whole article is slanted in a way to put her in a bad light. And not only that, we'll get back to, what came out today about that. Not only that, this happened yesterday. Again, whenever they don't have stuff in the Sussexes, they will start eating their own. And the first person they tend to throw under a bus, it usually is Kate Middleton and her family. Then this came out. On top of that, this came out yesterday. And we remember that photo on the left with Kate Middleton's mother in the U.S. She's in New Jersey with a picture of herself and everything. And there she is in that little discount party place store in New Jersey, trying to sell party pieces. Anyway, so this article came out in the Times yesterday. It says Princess of Wales parents. No, it says like Princess of Wales parents, not, Carol Middleton or, whatever. They made sure Kate's title is the one in that article, a headline. Princess of Wales parents leave taxpayers in the red as businesses sold. Party Pieces has entered insolvency process, and the bank is owed a balance of £220,000. Let's see, hang on one second. I'm going to move my little banner so that way and make sure that I don't have anything down there. Yeah, I do have something down there. Okay, great. So again, subscribe if you haven't. But so this is the Sunday Times. This is an article from the Sunday Times yesterday. It says the Princess of Wales parents took out a coronavirus loan for the children's party's business that will leave taxpayers facing a loss after the business collapsed this month. Carol and Michael Middleton received a taxpayer-backed loan from NatWest to support the company when lockdown prevented family gatherings. Party Pieces, which they established in 1987, has now entered an insolvency process. The bank is owed a balance of £220,000, according to the documents seen by the Times. The taxpayer is liable to pay 80% of an amount owed to the bank. Party Pieces, which established in let's see. Oh, wait. I think I just completely double thing there. Anyway, it goes on to say, the taxpayer is liable for up to 80% of the amount owed to NatWest under the terms of the government coronavirus business interruption loan scheme. Party Pieces has now been sold through a so-called pre-pack administration deal to an entrepreneur, James Sinclair, for £180,000. The sale proceeds will therefore not be sufficient to pay off the loan in full. The lending is unsecured and will not be given priority over other unsecured creditors, such as trade suppliers. I have a couple of questions with this thing. This Party Pieces, apparently, if you believe the reporting from a while ago, Party Pieces was a company that was bringing in millions, bringing in 4.5 million a year. My question then becomes like, how does a company that was taking in millions just a couple of years ago, how is that company then sold for £180,000? Like, what happened to all that money that they were bringing in? Again, this company has been there since 1987, and we've been told about, Kate and her family upgrading and all their homes and all the things that they're doing. What did they do with that money that when it got so bad that when they sold that company, the worth was only £180,000? And it's just like, are you serious? Like, what happened to that? And so it just is, and again, when you talk about, especially, cost of living crisis, for them to put out that, whatever they sold the the company for the 180,000 pounds is not enough to cover the 220,000 that they owe NatWest Bank. And then so taxpayers are going to have to cover that for them. And so when you put that out there, then you put them on blast, because now taxpayers are involved. And, I mean, of course, they're not as outraged as if, say, this was the Sussexes that we're talking about. But then it's like, again, the negative article, and nobody's like demanding, like, you have to take this down or whatever. And it's very interesting for two articles to come out just a day from each other, or just, hours from each other. Both of them putting Kate and her, Kate, and then Kate and her family in such a bad light. Detailing, apparently they tried to find, when they were trying to find a buyer for the company, they approached, I think, 170 something people who told them no. Their creditors would not, give them any more money and all of that. I mean, it's really embarrassing. Like, when I read this article, and of course I'll put it in the show notes, you can read it. I was having secondhand embarrassment reading this article, because if I am Kate Middleton, Princess of Kensington, and I'm reading this in the press about my family and all the financial difficulties, to the point where apparently Carol Middleton, they had to bring in a new board to run the company, and she was basically a influencer for the company, hence being in New Jersey, where she was there, and have her picture there being influencer for Party Pieces, and then not only that, having approaching 170 something, actually 150 something, 170 something people to buy the company, and then having to sell it for a mere 180,000 pounds. Again, this is a company that was bringing in millions of dollars a couple of years ago. And so it is, I mean, I was having secondhand embarrassment reading. Imagine, there again, you are the Princess of Wales, and this is where you are. And on top of it, when you look at, when they, this whole thing with Kate and William and their relationship. And again, I don't, I don't really get involved in where people are with their relationship. But, we've talked a lot about William and what he has, and the amount of money and property and land, and how much, the Duchy of Cornwall brings in, and all of that stuff that he has. And Kate, is married to William. So I'm assuming, she has access to some funds. And so my question then becomes, how did you parent, and again, it's, as a child, or the daughter or the son of parents, it's not your responsibility to bail out them parents, especially if they have not been responsible with what they have, and the kind of money that they have. If they're not responsible, it's not your responsibility to do it. You can, out of the kindness of your heart. But when you think of how Kate has portrayed with her family, and the kind of relationship they supposedly have, and knowing how anything royal they avoid, like, anything like embarrassing, the royals tend to want to run away from, you would think they would try to sort of bail them out so that they don't have this kind of embarrassment. And you think of how the press has been reporting, how Kate and Carol and her husband, I think Michael, I think his name is, how they are second parents to William, like they are the parents that, better than Charles and Diana, from the way how the press would report his relationship with Carol and Michael, Middleton. And so you would think that they would, step in to spare them some embarrassment, but they haven't. And so there are so many questions. So then I question, not only that, the Kate's relationship with them, William's relationship with them, William's relationship with Kate. I mean, does Kate have access to some of William's funds, or is that just all William and Kate is on for the ride? And like, there are so many questions here. But on a whole, it is just a negative and embarrassing story to Kate. Again, these are her parents that she's very close to. I know if it was my parents, and it's one thing to deal with this stuff, privately, and it's embarrassing even dealing with it privately, because British people don't like to talk about money. They don't. And so to have to sit there and talk about, this, and then to see it so publicly splashed out in the Sunday Times, I can't imagine the horror of seeing that. And especially if I'm close to my family. And again, it's very rare that you see these articles, right, one after the other, negative articles about Kate that nobody is taking down, that's still there and nobody's taking them down. And so you have to ask, like, okay, what just happened? Because, when Kate is in everybody's good graces and someone say peep about Kate, quickly that article comes down. I mean, we've talked about this numerous times about how quickly the minute something, when Kate is in everybody's good graces, the minute someone says the slightest thing, not even all that bad about her, that article is gone. And yet these articles are there. And so you got to ask yourself, well, what is happening? What just happened? How is this possible that this has happened? And one of the things, again, not 100%, I don't have evidence for this, but one of the things I imagine that just happened was this little mess. We talked about Kate and her little stunt at that flower show, the Chelsea flower show recently, and how she showed up unannounced, apparently unannounced, and a surprise to everyone. And she showed up and she was the big thing there. And as you can see, the different front pages that the royal family depend on for good press, all of them had Kate Middleton's, little adventure stunt, the little, I'm not racist, stunt and hanging out with little black and brown kids, and her 8 cameras, and we've talked about that recently in the past episode. She turned up and then she became the it girl for the flower show, and when she became the it girl for the flower show, it ended up in everybody's front pages and, whether it's online or their printed press. What happened is then the headlines became a thing. What happened? Because when she showed up there, what that did was relegated the king and the queen to the other pages, not the front page, or to the little blurb and a little circle of the Charles and Camilla. They were supposed to be the head, they were supposed to be the stars of the flower show. And when the day Kate decided to pull her little stunt was the same day that Charles and Camilla were there. And so, of course, she's there and, in a pretty little pink dress, and she got all the attention. And they were reduced to the, also attended. And so what happened? The press took up, where the headlines, had their thing. The covers had their thing. The headlines picked up. Are Charles and Kate really at war? Of course they're gonna start, because why? Kate was there when she wasn't supposed to be there, and it was supposed to be Camilla and Charles being the big thing, the big fish in the sea right there. And Kate, little stunt, upstaged them. Daily Express, Royal Family Live. Kate raises alarm after upstaging King. The Mirror. Kate Middleton overshadowed King with a surprise, I guess, the surprise visit. Kate made surprise visit at the Chelsea flower show on the same day King Charles and Camilla attended the event. The Daily Mail. Kate Middleton's popularity is unsettling for Charles, and goes on, whatever, because again of Kate's surprise appearance. And so the thing about this that we know about King Charles, that everybody and their brother knows about King Charles, is you do not upstage King Charles and it ends well with you. Everybody knows that. Princess Diana, living example, well, now dead example, I should say, but you don't upstage Charles. Look at what, with Princess Diana, he hated it. It's very public. Diana talked about it. Prince Charles, that's the one thing. It's like he hated, because he wanted all the publicity for himself. He could not stand that Diana upstaged him. We look at Harry and Meghan. They are no longer in the royal family. Why? Because they're the attention they were getting. The press wouldn't, the press wouldn't stop talking about them. And that didn't sit well with Charles and Camilla. No, Harry and Meghan are nowhere near them. Charles doesn't take it well. And if Kate Middleton had any sense, Kate Middleton should have read Spare, because if she had read Spare, she would have been clued in that you don't do stuff like that. And after how many years she's been married and a part of the royal family, you would know that, you would think that Kate Middleton would know this. You know, Harry wrote about this very specifically in Spare, which is why I'm like, Kate, you better start picking up Spare, because you will get a clue if you start reading this. You know, this is what Harry wrote about this in Spare. Harry says, that was the start of my 2015, just the highlights. The paper was awash with stories about Willie being lazy, and the press had taken to calling him work-shy Wills, which was obscene, grossly unfair, because he was busy having children and raising a family. Kate was pregnant again. Also, he was also beholden to Pa, who controlled the purse strings. He did as much as Pa wanted him to do. And sometimes that wasn't much, because Pa and Camilla didn't want Willie and Kate getting loads of publicity. Pa and Camilla didn't like Willie and Kate drawing attention away from them or their causes. They'd openly scold Willie about it many times. Case in point, Pa press officers berated Willie's team when Kate was scheduled to visit a tennis club on the same day Pa was doing an engagement. Told that it was too late to cancel the visit, Pa's press officer warned, just make sure the Duchess doesn't hold a tennis racket or in any of the photos. Such a winning fetching photo would undoubtedly wipe Pa and Camilla off the front pages, and that in the end couldn't be tolerated. Harry was very clear about Charles and Camilla's stance about being wiped off the front page of the newspaper. They live to be on the front pages. This is their bread and butter. This is the thing they live for. And you dare not do something on the day of. And again, this talk about Kate. This was way back then. Harry is talking about when Kate, couldn't, they went and can't schedule something the same day that Charles was doing something. And their warning was she better not hold a tennis racket in any of the photos, because anything fetching would put her on the front page. And that could not be tolerated. And so, again, I have no concrete evidence if these negative articles about Kate and her family is in retaliation for her stealing the spotlight from Charles. But would I doubt it? No, because this is exactly how petty Charles is. This is exactly how petty he is. And if Kate had taken heed, maybe she wouldn't have these negative articles against her. And she's lucky. I mean, you don't be surprised if there are more stuff coming out about Kate, especially the fact that they haven't been able to access anything about the Sussexes for a while. Since they left New York, they haven't been able to get anything or confirm anything about the Sussexes. Don't be surprised if more stuff comes out about them. But again, Prince Harry is very clear. You don't upstage Charles. Charles is petty. Camilla have friends in the press. When push comes to shove, they're going to take Camilla's side against Kate, because Camilla is bosom friends with a lot of the editors. And they're more of her on her side than Kate's side. So Kate is the one that's going to get thrown under the bus. And so again, if Kate was wise, she will pick up Spare and start reading it to get, to learn some things. Again, you don't upstage Charles. It is stupid and silly, but it's just, that's how they are. That is exactly how they are. Front page of the tabloids is their gold. Again, I would never understand this thinking, but that's what it is for them. Unbelievable. But again, they are really going after Kate. And it's very interesting to me because reading about, again, going back over Spare and looking at Charles's behavior when it comes to him being, being upstaged or any of that stuff, and the lengths they would go to, to take out someone who upstaged them. Yes, they are that petty. But, Harry also talked about the court circular. Again, these are engagements. These are, the things where they want people to know, yes, You give me, 80 something million pounds to be, to be your head of state to king. So these engagements, especially if you're new here, these engagements is how you know that I'm not just home, twiddling my thumbs while you give me $87 million to be your king. These engagements are everything. These engagements is how you know that I'm doing stuff. We are busy. We are busy at your work. We are supporting charities, and we are doing all of these things. As Kate said to one of the kids, I guess at the flower show, or one of her last engagements, that they watch over everybody, so that they are out there doing things and watching out for the people of the UK. Well, I love Prince Harry, but we know that's nonsense. We know that there's a whole nonsense. We talked about how ineffective they are and how they bring no value whatsoever to charities by having a royal patron. The charities don't benefit from it, Oh, and thank you so much, Dansbird One. I appreciate it. It's like, we love Harry and Meghan. We do. Thank you so much for your donation. I appreciate it. But anyway, so I appreciate Harry's honesty, basically confirming what we've been saying forever, that there was a whole article about this. And so this, if you haven't seen it, and if you have not gone on the royal website, the royal family website online, you can go visit what's called the court circular, and there you have all of the the engagements for every member of the royal family. And so, as it says, as you see in highlight, the court circular is the official record of past royal engagements. Search court circular detailing engagements undertaken by all members of the royal family going back to 1997. In this section of the media center. So if you just punch in what day you're looking for and whatever, and you can get all the engagements from any royal member of the royal family. It's online. You can just go. So this is supposed to be really important. And so this is supposed to be the thing, the official list, the official record that's going to go into the history books about the effectiveness and how much work the royal family do, because they just look over the British people. They are just watching over you and taking care of you. Well, here's Prince Harry in Spare to write about this. He says the court circular was an ancient document. I love how Harry, I love him. He says it was an ancient document, but it had lately morphed into a circular firing squad. It didn't create the feeling of competitiveness that ran in my family, but it did amplified them, weaponized them. Though none of us ever spoke about the court circular directly or mentioned it by name, that only created more tension under the surface, which built invisibly as the last day of the calendar year approached. Certain family members had become obsessed, feverishly striving to have the highest number of official engagements recorded in the circular each year, no matter what. And they succeeded largely by including things that weren't, strictly speaking, engagements, recording public interactions that were mere blips, the kind of things Willie and I would never dream of including, which was essentially why the court circular was a joke. It was all self-reported, all subjective. 9 private visits with veterans helping with their mental health, 0 points. Flying via a helicopter to cut a ribbon at a horse farm, winner. Yeah, Princess Anne, yeah, we see you. But the main reason the court circular was a joke, a scam, was that none of us was deciding in a vacuum how much work to do. Granny or Pa decided by way of how much support or money they allocated to our work. Money determined all. In the case of Willie and me, Pa was the sole decider. It was he alone who controlled our funds. We could only do what we could do with whatever resources and budget we got from him. To be publicly flogged for how much Pa permitted us to do felt grossly unfair and rigged. And so again, this is Harry writing in Spare about the court circular. And one of the things he also wrote about there, and it's so funny, people say that he was bashing William. He hasn't, because there was a situation like this where he was totally picking up for William, where there was a situation where the public again was claiming that that William and Kate are work shy. We remember work shy Willie and all of that stuff. And Harry was saying it was unfair because William and Kate could only do what Charles and the Queen allowed them to do. And they didn't want, as we read before, they didn't want William and Kate doing too much, because then that would give them more publicity. And so they restricted them to doing basically nothing, so that they wouldn't take any publicity away from Charles and Camilla. And I like that Harry brought this up, because again, when you go back to the court circular, one of the things you always get is like how now King Charles and also Princess Anne are the most, they are always at the head of how many engagements they've done, and they have always, the hardest, and that's the tag on them, the hardest working royals, Princess Anne, the hardest working royal, Prince Charles, or King Charles, and the Queen, and all of them. And I'm glad that Harry put this there, because as he says, sometimes it's merely a meeting or something like that, and they would put it there because they want to be known as the hardest working, and it was all a scam. It was all ridiculous. Because I've asked this question so many times, and I have nothing against Princess Anne at all. I don't care either, one way or another. I'm nothing against her. But the thing that I always question with all of the hardest working royal stuff is, what impact has she made? She's always out, whether it's in all these different engagements, she's meeting all these people, and she's going to this event, and she's doing this event, she's traveling to Canada, she's in Australia, she's all over the place. I'm not saying she's not going to all these places and doing all these things as the quote unquote the hardest working royal. My question has always been for Princess Anne, I have yet to see the impact of her work. I have yet to see what she's done. I've yet to see, yes, the press doesn't really cover much of what she does, but I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen anyone's like, okay, because of Princess Anne, this or something, anything at all, And some of the things, the same thing with King Charles, like you see some of it, but when you think back, say, like the Princess Trust and all of those things, I would love to see an impact report. But all the money that they have brought into the Princess Trust and all the money that they've got legal and questionable, all the people because that's the whole thing. It's like, all the people that it's helped. I would like to see the numbers. I'd like to see how much compared to how much money he has taken in. And again, Philip Schofield was one of the officers at the Princess Trust. It's always something, whether it's Jimmy Savile or, the pedo priest, or, Andrew, it's just always that kind of people was always around King Charles in some way, shape, or form. It's like he makes a beeline for I don't understand that. But that's the thing with the royal family and these so-called engagements, is where is the impact? What impact have you made? In more times than none, the charity is closing. Especially Kate's charity. Every time you look around, another one is closed. And so it's very interesting for me, and I love the fact that Harry put it there. He's like, this is a scam. This is a total scam, because you're not letting me work as much as I want to work, because you don't want me taking attention away from you. But then you allow the press to call, say that they're lazy. And again, to be fair, William and Kate are lazy. Even when they have opportunities, they're not very good at what they do. They are lazy. But to be fair, some of it was curtailed because, again, Charles held the purse strings, and he would only allow them to do so much so that they don't take attention away from him. This is not benefiting the public. So again, with this whole thing with the court circular and their engagements, none of this is for the public. None of this is to benefit the charities. This is, we're going to do so much so we get the attention that we want, to make people think we're doing stuff. And so it is just, it's really sick. And I'm glad he put it out there. And I hope more and more people really go into exactly, especially, as Harry's talking about the monarchy and how it works, that people highlight stuff like this more. Because again, they're out doing whatever they're so-called doing, not really making an impact on anybody. And then you think of, the court record, the court circular. This is an official historical document. And then, but they are, I mean, as Harry says, it's like they're just putting in stuff. And we looked like we went through when I did the Kate and William's calendar. When I took it off of the Republic, they had done one, and then I went in and did a whole one for 3 months for Kate and William. We saw like a lot of the quote unquote engagements were stuff that is like, oh, it's a phone call for 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and that's an engagement, it's like most of the stuff they did was right there at Kensington. They didn't go out into the community. But then when you look at how it's listed on the court circular, it looked like they're doing the world. But when you put it out on a calendar and really look at what they're doing, it is not much of anything. And it is certainly not worth 87 million pounds that they are getting per year. Totally not worth it. And so, anyways, I don't want to belabor this point, but it's very, very interesting to me. Just how, how people are bamboozled to believe that the royal family are there working for them. I was like, no, they're not. They're totally not. But anyway, I'm going to jump into chat. I've been talking too much. Let's hear from you guys what you're thinking about there. Let's see. Ruth Lopez. Hey, Ruth. Ruth says, oh, she's talking to Gwen and Verda. Yeah, Kate should dump those losers before Camilla destroys her. She could find a man with real money and never have to speak in public again. Well, okay. That's an interesting take. Thank you, Ruth. I don't get involved in Kate and William and their relationship, but I don't see her, no matter what's happening. I don't see her leaving that. I mean, at this point, it's like, look, I birthed you 3 heirs. You owe me. And that's more what I see in that situation. I mean, again, I don't know what their relationship is. There's a bunch of school of thoughts of what's going on in there. I'm not getting involved, but I don't see, from what I'm noticing, I don't see her as leaving. So, let's see. Lorna says, yes, Princess Anne was in New Brunswick this month celebrating 175th year of the Hussar Guards that was formed when Canada was part of the British Empire. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I heard she was in Canada. Beyond that, I haven't seen anything else. Again, what impact? Like, what charities, what organizations, whatever are impacted by what she's doing? I just haven't heard. She is definitely busy, but we can be just busy for being busy sake and not really having an impact in, anything that we're doing. So let's see. Teresa says they will show empty-handed with a smile and a wave. What a joke. We see that a lot. I mean, even Kate going to the food bank and all of those things, and always end up, they go for, empty-handed. And it's just like, okay, and their thing is, well, we're there to highlight, that's nice, but it would be great if you brought stuff, wouldn't it? So yeah. Let's see. Oh, wait, Cookies and Cream says, thanks, family, for all your kind thoughts and prayers. The hospital staff has been coming in and out of the room all morning. My father is finally getting some rest. Oh, well, I'm glad he's finally getting some rest, Cookies and Cream. I hope that means he's getting better. So do let us know. We'll definitely continue to pray for your family and pray for your dad. So, yeah. And pray for you as well. I can't imagine how difficult it is to take care of a sick parent. So yes, much prayers for you as well. So yeah. Gracie says, people of the UK being exploited by this family. And the majority of them would be like, we're not. We love our royals. They are supposed to be here. We don't mind paying for them. We don't mind that they just wave and smile. So yeah. Let's see. Moving up. Ginny says, Ruth Lopez, King Charles III is a very powerful, influential person. Above the law, he can make things happen and people disappear. You know, so many people is still of the, and I don't even understand in the year of the Lord 2023 why people still have this thinking that the royal family, they're head of states, but they're only ceremonial. They don't have any power to do anything. They don't have any power to exact any laws or anything like that. And so many people have and I don't understand. I am not British. Why do I know this? And so many people, British people, still have this mentality that the royal family seriously is sitting there with no power. And I'm like, are you serious? So anybody who is sitting there, one, just as Jeannie said, King Charles is very powerful and very influential around the world. They're one of the richest families around the world. They own the majority, the most property in the UK of anyone. They also, there's what's called, now the King consent, where if there's a law that's being put out for a vote, whatever, the king could say, unless the king give his consent, that cannot go forward. And we saw that a lot with the queen when the queen was here, and Charles also was a part of that because he had a say in those laws as well that affected the Duchy of Cornwall, especially. They could say, no, we're not going to allow this law to go through until we get what we want. And usually it's something to benefit them. Like, for example, the queen. When she did not want to follow the race laws, she wanted an exemption for her household that she did not have to follow the race laws that was being enacted. That law is still there. Nobody has said that law went away when she passed, where she did not have to. Right now, people cannot, women, if they are sexually abused or there's racial, anything racial where someone is racially discriminated against in the royal household, they cannot take the king to court. Because of that exemption, they held that law up until they got the exemption. The same thing with following climate laws in Scotland. The Queen held that law up until she was granted an exemption from following the climate laws, the new laws that was going into Scotland. She lobbied Parliament and got her exemption, and then she said, okay, you can go ahead with that. Everyone else had to follow that law except her. And that is the same for a whole bunch of other stuff that people don't know. They've only, I think it was last year, they claim that, that they're going to let the public know that any of the laws that Charles can, hold up or has any issues with, but apparently they're not going to let you know how he voted or something for it, how he voted with it. But it's like, there's so many things, laws that go through that people are just like oblivious to the fact that the royal family will hold it up until they get, especially if it affects the royal, the monarchy, they will be like, that's not going anywhere until I get an exemption or I get something that is favorable to the monarchy, then I will let it go. And usually those things are exemptions or stuff where they are not subject to any rule. Everyone else has to follow it, but they don't. And so, which is why I came down on Kate the other day with, with the baby thing where, she is out doing her, trying to drum up support for her initiative. And she's getting involved with, all these leaders and the City of London and all of that stuff, these financial leaders and stuff. And people are like, she's going there and she's like, to raise awareness, apparently. Meanwhile, what the industry needs, with childcare, especially early childcare, and what that part of the community needs is money. What they need is money, not awareness. Everybody is aware what the problem is. They need money. And so the whole thing is like, oh, well, she can't really go lobby because the government cut a lot of the money that was going into this part of, the community. They cut a lot of funding for early childhood education, early childhood care, and all of that stuff. They cut a lot of their services. So my thing with her is, you are in a position to now lobby. I know that because the royal family, that's what they've been doing all along. When it's something to benefit the monarchy, they will lobby Parliament to get it. Therefore, she's a part of this family. This is something where this is okay for her to go lobbying for, where she can lobby for money, because when they have the power to lobby Parliament to get what they want. So this is an opportunity for her, and nothing. Because why? It doesn't benefit the monarchy. Because it's not about her, it's about other people. So she will stick to raising awareness. Again, how effective are all those busy things they do with, so-called, their so-called engagements? When they have the opportunity now to lobby for something to affect it and that could benefit children, they're not doing it. All of a sudden it becomes too political. I'm like, well, isn't, the race law political? That didn't stop you from lobbying it. Didn't stop you from lobbying to get exemption. The climate issue, that didn't stop you from lobbying to get exemption. So why should this? When it could actually make a positive impact on children's lives, the very thing that you claim this is your life's work. So for me, it's just always very interesting when people are still saying, oh, the royal family don't have any, they don't have the power to do this or don't. And it's just like, no, they don't. Yes, they do. They have tons of power. They just hide it. They just hide what they have. Let's see. Scrolling down for some more. Novi's like, hello, I'm late. You're not late, Novi. You're on time. There's also the replay. So whatever you missed, you can get it there. Oh, Jeannie said she saw the mermaid. Oh, how was it, Jeannie? How was it? Did anybody else see it? Oh my goodness, I heard it's doing fantastic. The kids love it. They said it's going to be like 100 and something $15 million that's gonna bring in for the entire weekend, a long weekend. So that is so great. Halle Bailey is doing great. The kids love her. I mean, if the kids love you, that's all you need. You don't care about adults. But it seems everyone loves her as the mermaid. So I have to see it. Oh, thank you so much. Nogahit Israelite, aka Black Cougar 1959. Aw, thank you so much for your super sticker. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, and Gracie is praying for you, cookies and cream, just in case you didn't see it. So cookies and cream, this is for you from Gracie. Let's see. Karen, where are Karen? Karen says, but I'm glad you're pointing this out, because I keep saying the same thing about the royals are such hard workers, but what I see is people being held indebted to them, especially Charles. He benefits. This is such an important point. Thank you, Karen, for pointing this out. This is such an important point, because when they are part of, say, for example, the Princess Trust, and I think, Karen, you pointed this out before. If I'm not mistaken, when you called and you had pointed this point out before, that when Charles helps someone, say for the Princess Trust, it's like they are forever indebted to him. So they always have to, whenever Charles need to, show the world that he's not racist, especially, he's always bringing out one of those people, for example, Idris Elba, who he helped when he was a teenager, and always having to speak up for the, for the Princess Trust. And I think it was like, what, $1,500 or something that he gave, something like that. He gave Idris to help him with his acting and stuff. And obviously Idris is now, celebrated actor and, the I'm Not a Black Actor. I usually call him the I'm Not a Black Actor one. But, yeah, but every time it's like they are forever indebted to him. So he can call them up anytime to speak up for him. And it's just like I'm at the point was like, Idris, just pay back the $1,500 so you're not going to be held, for the rest of your life having to, basically sing Charles's praises just because he helped. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like you're forever indebted to them, and you always have to be there especially when they want to prove to the world that they're not racist. It's just, it's the same thing they do with those MBE, OBE things. They give it to you. You have to be prepared that when they need you, they're going to call you. So it's not for the people's benefit. It's for the royal family's benefit, so that they, could show the world that, see, we're doing something. We're busy doing something. It's really crazy. Let's see. Let's see, scrolling down. Oh, thank you, Lydia. Lydia's reminding everyone, please like and share and subscribe and join if you're able. Thank you so much, Lydia. She's talking about joining the channel. So yes, please. I'm just going to put my banner back there. So to remind everyone, yes, go ahead and join. And we're almost 7,000. So great. And I was like, thank you guys so much. Bonnie says, if Kate has the power to do anything, Charles and Camilla won't like it. She will overshadow them. I mean, it doesn't take much. I mean, to be fair, it doesn't really take much to overshadow Charles and Camilla. I mean, gosh, you put a stone there and put Meghan's name on it, and the stone, and that'll overshadow Camilla. Charles and Camilla, it literally doesn't take much. So the best thing, if you really don't want to get in their crosshairs and get, negative articles being printed about you that nobody's taking down, maybe just not show up when they show up. Because again, if you put a stone on that day and put a Meghan there, that stone will receive more attention than Charles and Camilla. They're not very, it's just what it is, but again, if she should have read Spare and read Harry's warning. So that's all I'm going to say on her. Let's see. Oh, Nafisa. Nafisa says, peace and blessings to everyone. I saw The Little Mermaid yesterday. It was wonderful. Regardless of your age, you will enjoy it. And yes, you can see the parallel to Harry and Meghan. Really? Oh, that's right, because the guy is the guy's white, or at least I think he is. I think he's white. Yeah, but it's definitely mixed biracial, mixed couple. Whatever. I can't even think at the moment. However you say it, but yeah, it just okay. And it's so funny because someone was saying that and some in the British press were having an attitude because apparently when Ariel couldn't speak and the guy was trying to guess her name and she said Catherine, and apparently the Little Mermaid made a funny face or something, and so some royal reporters, they sort of like got up in their feelings about, I'm like, Kate Middleton is not the only person named Catherine. My grandmother, literally, God bless her rest, God bless her soul, she's passed on now. My grandmother's name is Catherine. It's just like anybody say anything about Catherine, they are talking about Catherine, Princess of Wales. And it's just like, seriously? Until literally Disney had to respond that because especially Richard Eden went on this thing because apparently the Omid used to work with some guy, and the guy that Omid used to work with now works at Disney. So Richard Eden, because he used to work, was Omid's co-worker, and they wrote an article together when they were, I think, at Heat magazine or some magazine like that. Omid was at. And now because the guy is working for Disney, Richard Eden took that to mean that the guy is working on The Little Mermaid. And this guy is the one that's responsible for this horrible thing. And this whatever that with the Little Mermaid screwing up her face or whatever she did when the guy said Catherine. So this guy that was working with Omid is responsible for that. And I'm thinking, these people have no idea how production works. They have no idea about Disney. They have no idea about filmmaking. They have no idea about writing. Nothing. They have no idea how large Disney is. I mean, does this guy even work with Disney, productions? Like, do they even work in the film department? Like, Disney has a whole ton of different departments. And it's just like, including Broadway, Disney Theatricals, where I used to work. It's just like, it's crazy. So just because he works for Disney and the movies from Disney, never mind which department this man probably worked for, Richard Eden took that to mean that this man is responsible for whatever this girl did when she heard the name Catherine. And only because she works with, he used to work with Omid, and in his mind, Omid is a friend of Meghan. So therefore, it's Meghan's fault. Don't ask. It's just unbelievable. It is just unbelievable. Sorry, Nafisa, I just went on a tangent after your very beautiful review of Disney, of Little Mermaid. So, but back to this. Thank you so much. Anybody outside? I'd love to hear your take on it. I think I may just break down and go. I'm not a movie theater person, so I may just break down and go to the movies and just watch it so I can see it on a big screen. Let's see. Leslie. Oh, okay. Leslie has an update. Harry's court case is in recess this week. Court resumed the following week with Harry taking the stand shortly after. Okay. So I'm assuming we don't have. Oh, actually, you know what, Leslie? Why don't you call in and tell us? So I'm going to put this. Where is the. Here it is. Get the link, Leslie. You can call in and tell us a little bit about what you know, or a little or legal reporter or legal journalist Leslie F will be should be calling in. Hopefully you're still here, Leslie. Call in and tell us all about it. So yes. Until Leslie calls in, let's see who else is chatting. And Jeannie Height says, Mermaid made a mild facial gesture. Due to the media, we're all looked at. Due to the media, we all looked for it, but it wasn't insulting. Don't tell that to Maureen. Don't tell that to Maureen, aka Richard Eden. To him, whatever this girl did was an affront to Catherine. Leslie, my love, how are you doing?
Hello, how are you? Happy Memorial Day,
Oh my
everyone in the
goodness, you're so
US.
low. I cannot hear you.
Oh,
Or maybe is it just
can you
me?
hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Oh man, I cannot hear. Let me pull up my volume. It may be my volume. So hang on one second. Let's see. Oh, my volume is all the way up. Huh. I don't know
Can
why
you
it's so
hear
low.
me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you very low, but hang on one second. Let me see if it could just be me. So hang on one second. Let me
No,
see if
I'm
can you
using
guys let me know if you hear Leslie well? Leslie, say something. Let me just hear if they can hear you because I it's very low on my end.
one, two, three, four, five.
Okay, Norma can hear you. Connie can hear you. So okay, so it could be just be my headset.
Okay. And it
So
could be because I'm using an old phone because my screen broke on my phone. So
okay. So
I have an
everyone
appointment
seems
to
to
get
be able
another
to hear
phone.
you well. So it just be me. So it's
Okay.
fine. Go ahead. And
So
it could just be
tomorrow,
my headset for some reason that's hearing low. So yeah. So tell us, my dear, what if
okay, so
Lambert says,
this week,
Lambert says, I'm hearing
yeah.
loud in Dominica. Hello, Lambert from Dominica. All right, go ahead. So tell
Okay.
us, Leslie.
So last week was a lot of attorneys for
Mm-hmm.
the mayor, old attorneys. Harry's team called up a lot of attorneys and who like head of their legal for the mirror at that time, since then and now. And there's a lot of like intertwining connections to different sectors of the royal family and also different newspapers,
Mm-hmm.
and also has to do with the board. It's very confusing because these people are not, what wasn't confusing me, but these people are not famous people where you would recognize their name. So what
Right.
I'm going to work on tomorrow is I'm going to do an outline, and then what I'm also going to do is, and then I'll email it to you.
Okay.
I'm also going to do like a graphic drawing. So like put like the attorney, let's just say like John Doe, and how, oh, but he used to be a courtier and work for this person and this
Mm-hmm.
and in this way, and how is he's related to somebody in a Ravek, you know what I mean? That sort of thing, or
Right.
he used to be the person. So it's very confusing, but most of it was, like I said, the legal people, the attorneys, which I was surprised. So, and they had to uh also kind of, the questioning had to be very specific because of client attorney,
Privileges.
privileges.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I thought one thing that I found interesting, but and this is just allegedly, because I need to confirm it because I'm waiting from other court documents. So the barrister, the judge, not the barrister, the judge, um, Frankoff, he's
Hmm.
the one presiding over Harry and the other litigants' case, but he's also the same judge that presided over Hugh Grant's case.
Hmm.
So, and but I want to also make sure that he's like one of the judges because it's a double-edged sword. So if he's the same judge, my concern, and like I said, it's my opinion only. My concern is he let Hugh Grant's case go forward on everything but the phone hacking.
Right. That's what I was concerned about as well.
And so, and if he's the same judge that is presiding, my concern is Harry's case is mostly about phone hacking because
Hmm.
they and it kind of makes sense why in the beginning now the Mirror admitted to the private investigator part because I'm not so sure. I mean, we won't know really until Harry takes the stand
Right.
next month, what it all entails. So that's the only part. And his reasoning in the judgment for the Hugh Grant, because was able to get that one right, and I did read the decision, was that Hugh Grant brought the phone hacking charge too late.
Right.
So that's my only concern with Harry's case
Right. Which
on
is
that.
what, which I totally, because that is exactly what my thinking on that as well. But I was also thinking because Harry, there was a break for Harry between what, 2013, 2012, 2013, when he went to war.
Yeah,
So I
2011
don't
to
know. I was hoping
2000.
that they would give him
Yeah.
a bit of a reprieve because Harry had much more
Yeah, it was
pressing
from,
needs with going being
yeah, he was
prepared for war and going to
exactly,
war. He didn't have it wasn't just sitting around in the UK doing nothing, you know.
exactly.
And so I'm
Um,
hoping that they would take that in. So that was the thing that I was hoping that they would take into consideration to
mhm,
where they'd be like, okay, there was like a 3 year span there where you have to, one, prepare for war, go to war, and come back and debrief, and to even be in a mindset of bringing a court case.
exactly. I agree with you exactly. Then there was two motions in the court. One, Harry side won, which was one was to be able to question the head of their legal department. That was one. They won
Hmm.
that motion, so he was able to do that. But they did lose the motion to submit three more pieces of evidence. The judge denied them. He said, submitting these pieces of evidence was too late in the game of the court proceeding. They argued that it was in retribution, not retribution, it was in direct reflection of something that one of the mirror's witnesses said. It was like to contradict it. But the judge said it was too late to bring submit these three pieces of evidence because it would not be able, since they're now in the middle of the court proceeding, it would not give the other side, the defendant side, appropriate time to, you know, investigate it, the validity, and be able to have a counter argument. So that was the only one that's I was curious to know what these three pieces of evidence was, but they didn't say. They just said it
Wow.
was
Okay.
denied. So that
Okay.
was it. But I mean, I'm gonna, like I said, like these people, they interviewed like four or five different types of people, from a legal secretary to an intern that was there to the actual attorneys.
Hmm.
So it was kind of boring,
Yeah.
but it's
Well, yeah.
important.
That's why
It's still
the press hasn't
important.
really been reporting. They
Yeah.
just
So
report when it's the juicy stuff.
right, right. And then if you want to talk all things legal, I do have some information on Scammy's um case against Megan because I live here in Florida.
I'm so sorry. Say that again. There's a dog barking. I couldn't hear what
Oh,
you said.
I do have an update on Scammy's case against Megan
Oh yeah.
because I live here in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So Megan's attorney submitted an additional piece of motion to dismiss
Mm-hmm.
on the case again. Well, an update, an added piece of information to get Christopher Boozy's um, portion of her case dismissed and thrown out because they submitted paperwork in the litigation showing that Christopher Boozy was never paid. Was
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't. It wasn't for payment. He wasn't hired, and that he more so that he offered the information, and also that in her new filing, her amendment filing, she had quoted Christopher Boozy saying that he received payment from Meghan Markle team, but actually Christopher Boozy never said that. In further
Right. Yeah.
investigation, that was written up in a paper. So I think that case is going to be thrown out of court.
Right.
Still going to start. I decided the other day that I'm going to start digging into Sad Little Man's background because of what Andrew Brady posted the other day on his Instagram. So I was like, maybe I should just start digging into his background and see what I can find.
Yeah, there's some messed up stuff that I've seen posted. The person who posted it they hadn't gone into detail, so I don't know. So yeah,
But you
and it,
know who he is,
yeah.
right?
Well, let
You
us
know
know
who?
what you find, my dear.
Yeah. Well, and do you know who Andrew Brady is, right?
I'm so sorry.
So the guy that posted it, his Instagram is it's Andrew Brady. That's where he's posting everything. It's on Instagram. But do you know who Andrew Brady is?
I do not. No.
He was what's her name? The actress that committed suicide that Dan Wooten went after. Carolyn Flack, the one that killed herself.
Mm-hmm.
He was her fiance at the time.
Oh, is that the one that went to jail because he was
Yes.
calling Dan Wooten like a murderer or
Yep.
something?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
yes. No, I didn't recognize the name. Now I know who it is. Yes.
Now he's out, and that's why he says I got nothing to lose. I've already been to
Right.
jail.
Yeah.
I got nothing to lose. So he's coming after Wooten. So I'm like, oh, okay. There's got to be some dirty skeletons in his closet. But
Mm.
I think honestly, like I have nothing else better to do right now because I'm not working. So I'm like, you know what? Let me start digging into some of these
Please
royal rats
do. Connie is
background.
encouraging you. She's like, go ahead, Leslie, dig as far as you can. Go
You know what
ahead.
I mean? Pull things out from the background, ask research, make some phone calls, send some emails, talk to some people from way back in the past and see what I can find out and dig out and look through public records and stuff online and see what I can dig out. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with the squatties, posting, just throwing it out there. You know what I mean? It'll get picked up by the media. Let's start putting. I look at it this way. I kind of want to turn the camera on them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? As much as they dig and hound, well, let's start putting out facts and stuff from their past, like that
Yep.
people might not know, and putting it out there.
Exactly.
It'll get picked up, and turn it back on them. And as for Kate, I honestly feel sorry for the woman. You know what I mean? I don't care for her, but I feel sorry for her because she's the one out there doing all this work, and she's got children. I mean, Prince Louis is only 5 years old. She should be able to, and she's the one out there doing the work, going out by herself. Um, Camilla's not doing anything. The king is in Transylvania, Romania. You know what I mean? And I don't understand, like and maybe some of the people in the comments from the UK. I don't understand the common mentality. There are more working royal women. They could so take over. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
be like, no, I'm not doing that. This is how I'm doing it. No, I am going to say this. I'm not going to say, you know what I mean? Like if they all banded together, they could
Well, the
overrule.
thing with the royal family, though, is they are the front-facing members of the royal family. They are
Right.
only front. They're not the power of the monarchy.
That is
They're just
true.
the people we get to see. The power of the monarchy are the ones that like how Harry referred to them as the bee, the fly, and the whatever
Yeah.
the other one is. They're the power of the monarchy. Basically, it's almost like the royal family work for them.
True. I agree.
And
Yeah.
so they literally, including Charles, literally have to do what these people. It's kind of like how, the Queen, when she invited Harry and Meghan to come to Sandringham, and then the bee was like, no, she's busy. And then the Queen was like, oh, you can't come? Yeah. They're
Yeah.
the front facing. They don't have the power.
Yep. I agree. No, that is true.
So
That is
yeah, they
true.
could band together, which if that they
Yep.
would need to speak out. They would need to let the people know what's going on. But if there's just they can band together, but they don't have the powers being silent. They would have to
Exactly.
speak out and let people know expose what's happening in the background for them to have the power, and they're not doing that. So,
That is
but
true.
we
That
have
is
to end,
true.
unfortunately.
Yes. Yes,
Well, thank
we
you
do.
so much, Leslie. I
You're welcome.
appreciate it, and I look forward to all your digging.
Yep. So I'm gonna do. So basically, what I'll do is this week, I'm gonna take tomorrow as a day to put together a whole outline and everything that happened in the court case last week. Since this week there's no court case, and then we'll resume with the updates. Every couple days the
Right.
following week once they come back to court.
Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you, Leslie. You have a
You're
great day.
welcome. You're welcome, and you too.
All right, my
And
love. I'll
hello,
talk to you next
squatties.
time. Bye bye.
Much love to everyone. Bye.
Bye. And Coco, I highlighted this earlier. I feel the same way with this. I always hesitate to talk about, Harry's security. I don't, it is an uncomfortable because again, it's security. And so it is very uncomfortable. So I hear you. I totally, totally feel you on this. Um, but thank you again, Leslie, for all of your legal scholarly mind. I so appreciate it, and I look forward to all the things that you're going to be digging up. So there you go. Let's see a couple more before we end. I just realizing we've been here since for 2 hours. I'm like, oh my gosh, sorry. Let's see. A couple more. Greta says, I don't feel sorry for Kate. Her mother was helping with the negative narrative against Meghan. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely we do have a split in how we feel about Kate. Because you could see where she basically talk about being rendered mute. And then a lot of it is like, well, you could have, if you were a better person, you could have teamed up with Meghan. If instead of doing what you did to Meghan, you could have teamed up with her and you guys could have been a powerful, force in, getting change to happen there. But you chose to be, nasty and allow the press to abuse her, and you said nothing. So there you go. So yeah. Let's see. Teresa says that is why they want Meghan out, because she has a voice and is not afraid of using her voice. Exactly. And this is why they needed Meghan. This is why Kate and the others could have been powerful, because yes, if Meghan was there, the powerful people, the most powerful among the front facing royals would have been the women. You think of Meghan, Kate, Sophie, and Camilla. They're there would have been the powerful force there, because then you will have, really, other than that, is William and Charles and Edward, and I think the women would have a more powerful stance. But they are mute, and they needed somebody like Meghan to basically help them to learn, or to relearn how to use their voice, and to stand up against the misogyny that is so prevalent in in the monarchy. So it's just, yeah, but they didn't feel that way, I guess. So yeah. Mrs. S, she should be Mrs. S. Is Leslie a real life reporter? Leslie, are you? She should be. She's definitely a researcher. She definitely knows her stuff and gets in there and reads stuff. So thank you so much, Leslie. I appreciate. Let's see. Rosa says, I really don't care about anything that happened to the royals in the UK. I don't read about them. I don't want to hear about them. And as far as I'm concerned, Kate sealed her fate. Okay. Rosa is decidedly, she has her own mind about the royals. So again, I don't particularly, I mean, for me, they are neither here nor there, but I think in terms of overall, for me to understand certain things and the way, especially the British culture work, and especially, in terms of what happened with Harry and Meghan and say the wider Commonwealth, then I need to know, I need to read up on them and find out so that I can have sort of, if you want to think of it as the backstory as to what's going on and how it all works. So it's important to, like, even for me, even if you don't like or care about something, to know, and so that way you have a deeper understanding of why things are the way they are and how they could be better, maybe. Oh, sorry, Mrs. S asked that. I got that already. I know. Oh, Emerald was saying thank you to Leslie. So there you go. Really? Saren says, Black Queen, I meant to say Charles and Dracula are related. Well, he's in Romania. So there you go. Didn't know that. Very interesting. Gwendolyn says the royal women would never speak out or band together to do anything. Their finances are dependent on what Charles gives them. Where they live depends on what Charles and William decide. Very true. Very, very, very true. But the thing how you can have more of a say in that, the thing with the royal family, the monarchy, is that they are all about secrecy. They're all about being secret. They don't want their secrets out there. How you break that hold is by exposing stuff. Because when you expose stuff and people know what's going on, that support that they have will start to erode. And that is the thing. That is how you break that, is by exposing it, being open, talking about it, letting people know. This is what is happening. This is our life. And when they see, because it's very important to Charles, again, that front page, he wants that adulation. He wants that people to adore him. He wants people on his side. But when people start to see the stranglehold that he has over these women, trust me, especially the feeble, at least some, there are some of them that are steeped in misogyny, and that's their thing. But that support will start to erode when people know the truth. And they have been able to be as strong as they are because nobody is speaking out other than Harry and Meghan. That's why they hate them. Everybody is silent. So therefore, this pattern continues. So yeah, Marriage she doesn't feel sorry for Kate either. Karen was like, Meghan could have taught Kate a lot. She sure could. She sure could. But they're gonna learn. They're gonna learn. At least I hope. Lavertha's like, I do not feel sorry for any of the royals who have to quote unquote work. They basically made their own situation, so let them live in it. Yep, they made their bed, so they're gonna lie in it, according to Lavertha. Thank you, Lavertha. Let's see. Leslie is responding, says, Mrs. C, I am not a reporter. I just love research and love to get to the source of the truth. So there she is. So for us, she is a journalist, a legal journalist on Facts and Two Cents. So for us, she is. So there. Thank you so much, Leslie F. Let's see. A couple more before we end. I keep saying that. And that's the thing. I mean, we're all just trying to get to the truth of things. Let's see. Wendy Lohman says, old men in gray suits in the shadows rule the monarchy. Yes, they do. Until they die or are fired, no change will ever come to that institution. Yeah. I mean, it's it's weird how, I mean, I just, the monarchy is just strange to me. It is really, really strange because you think it's like, the royal family have all this power, yet there's this, there's men in gray, those people that are in the background that, basically they and the government are working together, and it's like the royal family, quote unquote, they still have to answer to these people, and it's just a weird. For me, it's just like a cult. It is just like a weird cult that what you see on the surface or what you see in front of you is not what's real a lot of times, and it's weird and scary in a lot of ways too. Um, let's see. Lavertha said, I remember Harry saying that for several years how tired he was because the others would say, send Harry, when they didn't want to do it. Yeah, he did. And he burnt out, because he's just like, sure, I'll go. I'm not the one that's married. I'm not married and have kids now, of course. So yeah. Karen has some great warning. She says, thank you, Karen. It says, we have to be careful about voicing some of the in-depth details about Prince Harry and Princess Meghan because it can hurt them instead of help them. Most of us know a lot and what Leslie said, but choose silence. Okay. Very true. That is very true. Again, we have to say, a lot of this is speculation. None of us have details about anything. None of us have the details about any immigration stuff. This is what we're thinking is possible. Not apart from what is given to us in the court cases, none of us know, or what is public knowledge. Beyond that, none of us know exactly what's going on because we don't have, again, apart from the information that the courts send out publicly or the Department of the Immigration. So apart from those, we have no idea. So, that said, we can say like we know a lot. No, so I would think we have good idea what could be, but we really don't we don't know because again, apart from what is put out there publicly, we don't know. So yeah. But I do get what you're saying. We have to also definitely be careful in even those speculations because you don't know who's listening. And a lot of people take a lot of stuff and they're like, they twist it in a way that is negative towards the Sussexes. So there. So yeah. Anyways, that's it, guys. Let's see. I think that is it. What else? I think one final thing. As we know, Invictus is coming up. I almost forgot I had this. Invictus is coming up, and Team Nigeria, they're here practicing their sitting volleyball. Says we may have scars, and this is from Team Nigeria. We may have scars, but they only make us stronger. We were ready to show the world that what we're made of, and inspire others to never give up on their dreams. We are ready for the Invictus Games. See you in Dusseldorf. So there you go, Team Invictus, Team Nigeria, ready. They are practicing their team sitting volleyball. So kudos to them, and we look forward to obviously the games in September. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much to our awesome moderators, Lydia, Church Nelly, Karen M, Cookies, and wait a minute, did I see Church Nelly? I don't think I saw Church Nelly at all, but thank you, Church Nelly. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for keeping the chat safe and really great and fun and all of those things. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. So there you go. Let's see. Thank you so much to our 2 Cents Crew members. I appreciate it so much that you support the channel and support the channel, not only just financially, but just being here, really, and just in every way supporting us in what we do. Thank you so much. And also to our Gold Star supporters who you see support in the chat, whether it's donations, super thanks, super stickers, super chat, all of it. Thank you all so much. And also who donate via PayPal and Cash App. Thank you all so very much. I appreciate it. So yeah, and I know I'm seeing in the chat right now, many of us, many people don't, they feel very uncomfortable talking about Harry. As I'm just looking at the chat right now, that many in the chat really feel uncomfortable talking about Harry's, especially the immigration stuff. So I think, yeah, I hear you. I totally hear it. And maybe, like Tyra said, we should not divulge too much information about H&M. Totally hear that. Totally hear that. So we'll be careful going forward, and I appreciate you guys sharing your concern about that. Um, very valid concern. And so, yeah. So we will, be a little bit more cautious in the future going forward. So, anyways, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and we yeah, and we will chat again next time. Have a great day. Have a great rest of the day as you enjoy the day off for Memorial Day. And thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Have a fab day. Bye.